My songs know what you did in the dark. So light 'em up, 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 light 'em up, 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 light 'em up, up. I'm on fire. So light 'em up, 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 light 'em up, 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 light 'em up, up, up. I'm on fire.
Yo, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Yinzer on Hockey. Continuing my series on my favorite players from each division. Today we are going to take a look at the Central Division. Central Division is a 7-team division featuring the Minnesota Wild, Colorado Avalanche, Dallas Stars, St. Louis Blues, Nashville Predators, Chicago Blackhawks, and the Winnipeg Jets. This division was the most competitive division this year, and featured a couple of surprise teams rising to the top and a couple of surprise teams falling off the map a little bit. First team I'm going to take a look at is the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota Wild, my favorite player is Ryan Suter. Ryan Suter has been one of the most consistent defensemen in all of the NHL over the past 13 years. Career stats: 991 games played, 493 total points, plus 110. Postseason stats: 78 games played, 29 points, and a minus 22. So not quite as stellar in the postseason, but Minnesota itself hasn't been really all that exciting in the postseason. The reason I like Ryan Suter so much is the amount of minutes that he plays each game is outstanding. He's a guy that averages well over 25 minutes a game, I think, for his career. That's a stat I couldn't quite locate, but I'm pretty confident in saying that this is a guy that's going to give you 25 to 30 minutes every game, and you're going to have to earn your space against him as a defenseman. For the Colorado Avalanche, I went with Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon has 374 games played in his career, 303 points. And this year he kind of came into his own, had a career year this year with 97 points, Hart Trophy finalist. And again, I think this is just him developing into the player that we all anticipated him being. He was a number 1 draft pick overall in 2013, and I think these are the expectations they had of him when they drafted him. Playoff career, 13 games played, 16 points. He's an even 0 for his career in the plus-minus department in the playoffs. And I think moving forward with Nathan MacKinnon, I think Colorado has the centerpiece of their franchise. I know there was times in the past when they thought they've drafted the right guy, and Landeskog, and who was the guy they traded to Ottawa this season? That name escapes me. It'll probably come to me in the future here. So I think they have their guy moving forward, and I think Colorado is in good hands over the next couple of years. Chicago, my favorite player for Chicago is Patrick Kane. I think he provides more value to Chicago than any other player on their team. He's played 822 games, 828 career points. His value, to me, is more noticeable in the postseason. 127 games played, 123 points, Conn Smythe winner in 2012. 2013. Hart Trophy winner. Also Pearson and Art Ross. Just a very gifted scorer that Chicago has. And I think he makes a lot of the players around him quite a bit better as well. And his distribution numbers as far as assists go, with 516 career assists, from a winger's perspective, that's exceeded value that you don't expect to get from a winger all the time. So I think that's a bonus with him. For the Nashville Predators, I went with Roman Josi, defenseman for them. 481 games played, 292 points plus 35 for his career. Postseason stats: 63 games played, 26 points, minus 18. This is a guy that, when Mike Fisher retired last year, this is the guy they decided to give the C to over many other obvious choices. I mean, maybe not obvious choices, but many other valid choices with Nashville. They could have given the C to, and they went with Roman Josi. So I think that, to me, shows his value in the locker room as well as on the ice. He's a guy that plays 26, 27 minutes a game and plays very well both in the regular season and the playoffs. Dallas Stars, I went with Tyler Seguin. Tyler Seguin, 590 games played, 505 career points. Solid player for both Dallas and Boston in his career. His best career year came in 2014, 84 points. Was a Hart Trophy candidate that year. His playoff numbers: 49 games played, 21 career points, plus 7. So he's been a steady player in the playoffs as well. And I think that with Dallas's core of players, including Seguin, I think I touched on it a little bit in my video of Dallas's season preview, that he's a solid player, a good development player, a good player that you can develop a team around, and he's good with the younger guys in the locker room that Dallas has. And again, Dallas is consistently one of the younger teams in the league, and having guys like Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin on your roster only helps develop them at a quicker rate. And I think with their new coach, Jim Montgomery, he's going to be glad to have a guy like Tyler Seguin on their roster. For the Winnipeg Jets, I chose Blake Wheeler, their team captain, a guy that's been around the league for a little while, 11 years in the NHL, 778 games played, 605 points. The guy that plays a solid two-way game, which I guess that's a recurring theme you see from me in the last couple of videos with the... I really like defensive-minded players. I really like guys that can play both ends of the ice. And Blake Wheeler, he's a guy that's tied back to this franchise. He's I think their only remaining member from the Atlanta days. And I think that he's a guy that also doesn't get as much recognition on a team like Winnipeg. You got the Patrick Laine's and the Dustin Byfugliens and guys that are going to steal the spotlight a little bit with Blake Wheeler. But I really like what Blake Wheeler brings to that team. Kind of cements himself in the locker room as a leader. Postseason stats: he's got 35 games played, 20 career points, a -5. Honestly, I don't think he'll be a minus player by the end of these playoffs. He has played really well this year. He's got 13 points in 10 games this year in the playoffs, and I think those numbers will continue to rise as Winnipeg goes deeper. And spoiler alert, I think Winnipeg is your Stanley Cup champion this year, so that's how confident I am in Blake Wheeler and the Winnipeg Jets moving forward. For the St. Louis Blues, my pick for favorite player for St. Louis is Vladimir Tarasenko. This guy is just a goal-scoring machine. Really like what he's able to do with the puck on his stick. He always seems to find the back of the net and consistently gives his team a chance to win with his ability to create plays and create scoring opportunities. Career stats: 421 games played, 350 points, plus 69 for his career. And in the postseason, 44 games played, 32 points. I think that as St. Louis advances in the coming years, as they progress, I think he will be a key contributor on the offensive end. Maybe not as much for his defensive prowess, but he is always going to be a goal scorer and always give his team a chance to win games. And I think that Mike Yeo will be able to lean on him both in the locker room and on the ice as a team that will help, as a player that will help St. Louis get back to the team that most expect them to be year in and year out. So that's a look at my players from the Central Division, my favorite players from the Central Division. Let me know who I may have overlooked. Who are your favorite players in the Central Division? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're just passing through. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.